Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. I'm here with another video, and today I'm going to speak about Kobbie Mainoo. This was a video that I wanted to do anyway. This was a video I always had in the chamber. When I made the channel, I was like, you know what? I've got things to get off my chest when it comes to Kobbie, who is, at the moment, I believe is the last academy graduate still in and around the first team. Obviously, Shea Lacey is making a little bit of noise, so he could be the next one that is integrated. But I felt like watching Pedri yesterday and watching some of the other La Masia players for Barcelona, the likes of Casado and Fermin Lopez and Kobbie, and looking how great they looked. I know La Masia still comes with a little bit of a heightened heritage in terms of their academy products, but it still just made me believe that there is an element of importance when it comes to playing the youth and your academy players. And I do obviously think if they have to be good enough, which Kobbie Mainoo is, but I still think there's sometimes an element of not giving them enough opportunity. Because if you don't give them opportunity, how will you ever know? And Kobbie Mainoo burst onto the scene, showing all the qualities that you'd ever want in a centre midfielder, with the elegance, the technical ability, the upper body strength and the dueling capacity that people don't talk about enough. But he seems to have fallen by the wayside, playing in systems that require probably a little bit too much of him. He had things to work on, obviously, in terms of his passing range, because when he first came into the team, I think all his best work was all in small spaces. And I think we all wanted him to probably extend his range a little bit in terms of his running, but also his passing capacity. And I've seen enough from him where I know it's in there. Because he came in with such a high floor anyway. Because you saw De Jong. You saw De Jong last night, didn't you? You saw how good he is. And you could see why Ten Hag was bending over backwards to sign him. And the fact that we couldn't get it over the line, we are forgetting that the introduction of Mainoo that season was one of the biggest equalisers, and without him, we would have struggled even more than we did. This is a player that started every game for his country on the way to a European final for his nation at 19 years old. We aren't talking about just a normal talent here. Not to mention his man of the match performance against Holland in the semi-final. And getting all the adulation you can imagine from the media, from foreign media as well, and from his teammates. And in typical Manchester United fashion, as we've seen with the likes of Welbeck and Rashford and McTominay and Lingard and Januzaj, it feels like our handling, obviously Greenwood was his own doing, but it just seems like our handling of these talents isn't good enough. Our development of them isn't good enough, and the environment that we kind of encompass around them isn't good enough either. I'm not on here saying that Kobbie Mainoo's perfect. He's got elements of his game to improve. But I fail to see how he's a talent that you don't maximise. Think about some of the moments he's had for the first team. Against Liverpool, against Lyon last season, scoring in an FA Cup final against Man City. And the beauty of the way he plays as well. It's become, English football in general just come too much about basically being a triathlete. How far can he run? How fast can he run? How much can he run? And I'm not saying Barcelona was vintage yesterday, but they've shown you that element of importance about that little technical, almost like rondo playing ability that I think is getting too far, almost extincted. That's not a word, but it fits in the English game. I've seen a lot of you talk about the Premier League today, and you think that the quality has dipped. For me, I think the parity's never been better. I think the quality is still high. I think the game's just become very vertical and very transitional. And it's suiting athletes more than it's suiting footballers. And if you are a footballer, in terms of your technical is usually a lot better than your physical, you've almost got to be in the top 1 or 2% to make it, or to be effective. For all the talk about Kobbie Mainoo and stuff that he can't control genetically in terms of how fast can he run, are you telling me that Ten Hag and Amorim have played systems that have helped alleviate that? It's not like we've seen midfielders that can run faster and run further than him exactly flourish. We haven't. Because I've seen Mainoo perform in a midfield three, and I think he has the ability to be one of the better players in the Premier League. And there's also, you've got that cultural element as well. I know people think it's too sentimental, talking about how, this record we still have, about always having a Carrington or an academy product in the squad. And that's in danger now. I know results are more important. Obviously, it's a business football as well. And results and winning matters. So you can't just do it for no reason, but there is. Because Kobbie Mainoo isn't an average footballer. He's still just only turned 20 years old. He's just scratching the surface. And what annoys me about the Mainoo situation is he came into the team with such a high floor anyway, with an impact, and you could tell there was still so much to go. So much still to refine in his game and so much more to develop. And it stalled. And he's become unhappy, the fans have become unhappy. And this would be okay if we were winning. If we were winning and midfield performances were great, that would be good. Fair enough. You could say he can buy his time, he can be a squad player, he can be his development, and he can be a little bit more like gradually linear or managed. But that's not what we're seeing. And I think what we're seeing with Rashford and what we're seeing with McTominay and what we're seeing with Lingard and what we're seeing with Welbeck, could argue that some of them in terms of their ceiling weren't good enough in the end and they were moved on at the right time for what United want to do. But I don't think that's the case with Mainoo. Even when he came on against Man City, I thought his cameo was brilliant. And what you've found now is that people have developed such an affinity to the manager that it's made them almost hate watch Mainoo when he comes on. And then you've got all these briefs coming out against him. I don't know whether it's his agent causing it, because he seems like a really honest, Stretford-born Mancunian footballer. You're talking about his wages and not accepting his contracts. I think this is just a man that's worried about his future at a club that's not going anywhere fast. And I feel quite passionately about the Kobbie Mainoo because it's the feeling you get when you watch him. And I think that's something you got to latch onto when you're watching the current United, because there isn't much else to be positive about. Especially in an engine room in a midfield that isn't working and hasn't been working very well for a long, long time. If we had a midfield pivot or even a midfield trio that were excelling, playing well, there was synergy between them, it looked dynamic, and Mainoo wasn't getting games or he wasn't getting much time, and I feel like fair enough, but that's not the case. You can't tell me that Ugarte is a better footballer than Kobbie Mainoo. I will never accept that. If you play a system that values a Ugarte profile of player more than a Mainoo type of player, that's when I have concerns. And I'm going to back him. This isn't a player FC situation. This is actually, funny enough, this is a Manchester United FC situation. Because I think we'll eventually be a better team in the long run when you allow a talent like Mainoo to develop, but be a huge part of that. Because I see a future captain in him as well. No attitude issues. He's got a nice little stoic, calm temperament about him. Leads by example. That I think he's a lot more versatile than people make out. A lot talked about his defensive ability. He's one of the best duelers in the team, if you look at all the metrics. I look at the Goodison Park performance early on in his United career. He had about 6 world-class defensive actions in that. Don't tell me you can't defend. Obviously, his passing can improve, his decision-making can improve at times, but there's such raw talent there that I'm just really struggling to see how United can fumble it, but I'm seeing it being fumbled right before my very eyes. Maybe his agent's asking for too much money, but then what's bred that almost, I know Ineos almost fighting against that, is there's players on a lot more than him that don't have the same standing within the team and don't deserve it. So that's a problem of United's own doing, and I think Ineos do have to resolve that. So that's a bit of a catch-22. I'm not saying to go give him 200k, but I think you need to pitch him a pathway and a plan that he almost believes in. And I think that's the most important thing. I'm hoping Kobbie Mainoo plays tomorrow. I'm hoping Manchester United win first and foremost, but a player of the calibre of what I think Kobbie Mainoo can touch, when you've seen how much Scholes loves him. And I think watching Pedri yesterday, I'm not saying he's a level of Pedri, but it shows you how effective that technical footballer can be. And they will always have a place in football, and they will always have a place in the team. Because sometimes you need someone to keep the ball. And I think very few people on Manchester United's squad keep the football better than him. So something needs to give. And I'm hoping it works out. I'm hoping Kobbie improves and reaches the ceiling I think he does, and a United improve alongside that. But I'm never going to not be in his corner. And I believe he will come out of this. I think there will be some sort of compromise between the two. And we see United start to actually win games, whether that's with Amorim or without him. And we see Kobbie Mainoo eventually integrated into the top midfielder that we know he can be. But that's it for me. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a bit more positivity. Not a positive video yet. Because Chelsea haven't beaten United at Old Trafford for, I think, 12 years. But we've seen longer records than that broken over the last couple of years. But hopefully that isn't a pattern that is followed tomorrow. But I'll be back tomorrow anyway for a Chelsea review. And hopefully it's a positive one. But thanks for all the support. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you next time.